This question about how do you differentiate which of your core emotions you kind of should be feeling when you're experiencing inhibitory anxiety or like that kind of like stuck anxiety as opposed to true fear was left on my video about AEDP. So I'm answering this within that umbrella. So I have three kind of like tips and tricks that I try to use when I'm trying to figure out which core emotion I need to feel. But also, I want to say that while I've gotten a lot better at this, there are still times where I experience something, I get stuck in an emotion, I can't figure out what I need, and so I go to therapy and ask my therapist this question, and we figure it out together. So I don't do this perfectly yet, but I'm happy to share what I do know that helps me sort through this. So our therapist that uses AEDP talks about how emotions, like core emotions, have a core function, and to some degree we can use that knowing of what each emotion's core function is to figure out what we're actually feeling or needing to feel sometimes. So the core purpose of anger, like core emotion anger, true anger, primary anger, is to let us know when our boundaries have been crossed or when we have been mistreated or when we need to set a boundary. And because it's about protecting ourselves, it is always an outward emotion. So that's really key for me because pretty much all the time that I consciously feel angry, it's self-loathing. It's internal. But that is not core emotion sadness. That if I feel like I'm mad at myself, that is sadness or anxiety or some other emotion that I'm twisting and turning inward, because core emotion anger goes out. Really, like at the absolute seed of anger, it is like, hey, I don't want to be treated like that, or hey, I'm not okay with that. And then sadness, which to me, anger and sadness are kind of the two that often get mixed up. Well, and fear. Sadness is always internal. So if I am not sure if I'm sad or angry or scared about a certain situation, and I try to really sit with it and just like think about it and focus on it and kind of let whatever emotion is there grow with sadness, rather than it being this like outward, like, get away from me, or I don't like that. It will be this very internal, like, I'll kind of want to like curl up in the fetal position and kind of like comfort myself. Like, it's a very internal thing. And kind of the core of sadness, like the function of it, is to empathize with ourselves and to let ourselves grieve not having our needs met or losing something that we used to value or that we still kind of need but like no longer have. So at the core of sadness is, I really, really loved that thing and now I don't have it anymore. Or it is, I really, really need this and I don't have it. So inward versus outward is part of how I differentiate, but that's just for sadness and anger. Although I guess I can also say, kind of in this category, the core like movement with fear is usually wanting to get away. Not so much from like a, hey, don't treat me like that place, but like a, I don't want anything to do with this. This is like an actual threat to me. I'm not safe, kind of a, I need to get out of here way. The second way that I can differentiate my core emotions is by like somatic stuff, like trying to notice what your emotions feel like in your body. Somatic stuff is tough for me. I I'm an intellectualizer, so I disconnect from my body, and I didn't know like any sensations tied to any of my emotions when I started therapy a couple of years ago, but I have gotten to know some. They do vary for other people, but I'll share some of the ones that I know in case they help you. For me, anger is hot, like I physically will feel warm. Most often it is like the back of my neck will feel hot, and sometimes like up like behind my ears, so kind of hot-headed or steam coming out of your ears, those kinds of analogies for me. Another one is I will like clench my jaw, my kind of be like biting my own teeth type of a thing, or like jaw tension sometimes. I don't experience this one, but I've seen online several other people have said that they'll just be like talking about how they're feeling, and then like look down and their hands will be not in like crazy fists, but they'll just be in like balled up, and that they don't really ball up their hands in that position unless they're experiencing anger. Sadness for me shows up as kind of like that like lump in your throat, or sometimes like a real heaviness on my chest, like almost feels like when you go to the dentist and they put that like lead vest thing on you for x-rays. It's just kind of this like sinking heavy feeling like something is sitting on me. That's sadness for me. Fear is trickier for me, especially like lower level fear. But I think when I catch fear in my body, it's usually in my chest. I tend to be able to feel my pulse and my breathing. It's not obvious to me that it's because my heart rate has increased or because my breathing has changed, but it just feels like suddenly I'm aware of my breathing and my heart rate. But anyway, if you know how emotions show up in your body, then sometimes you can like pay attention to your body and then kind of work backwards and figure out what the emotion is. And third is your thoughts, noticing your thoughts. So this is the easiest one for me. For me, I'm just going to use like your specific example of you think your partner doesn't want to spend time with you. So my thoughts would be different depending on what my core emotion was. If the core emotion that was underlying this anxiety in this situation was fear, then my thoughts would be around things like, does he like me still? Is he going to leave? It would be related to anxieties about abandonment or about kind of our connection and attachment. If the core emotion was anger, then I would be having more critical or judgmental thoughts related to him, or potentially even like going over past things like so you want him to spend time with you today. You might be thinking, well, I spent so much time with you that day when you were having a hard day, and now he's not doing the same for me. That kind of your brain wanting to kind of go back and like keep score or kind of rejudge past situations or anything that is like within the universe of like resentment or that kind of a thing is signs of anger. Where if it was sadness, then the focus would simply be on, I really need him to spend time with me, or I really could use support, or I really just miss him, or her, sorry. That would be signs of sadness. It would be at its core, I need this and I'm not getting it. That's sadness. So I can track those in my thoughts too. I hope this is helpful.